Welcome to the deep dive. We're going to be looking into dreams today with this book, This Is Why You Dream. It's by a neurosurgeon, neuroscientist, Dr. Rahul Jandial.
It's a pretty fascinating book.
Yeah, and we talk a lot about dreams on this show.
Yeah.
But this is really going to be a deep dive into why we dream.
Yeah.
So.
It really kind of tackles a fundamental question, I think, for a lot of people, which is, where do dreams come from? And he doesn't just, theorize. He actually pinpoints their origin using awake brain surgery.
Okay, awake brain surgery.
Yeah.
That sounds terrifying.
I know. I can only imagine. He describes it pretty vividly in the book.
Yeah.
But he basically is using these electrical probes to stimulate different areas of the brain, right? And observe what happens.
Yeah.
And in one case, he actually triggers a patient's nightmare mid-surgery and then is able to stop it by applying cold water to the brain.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
So, I guess that definitely proves they're coming from the brain and not from, gods or, wandering souls or something.
Yeah. It's quite so mystical, but it is amazing, the complexity of the brain, right? That it can produce these, super vivid experiences while we're asleep.
Yeah.
And so that kind of leads to, the next question of, well, where in the brain, right?
Yeah.
If it's in the brain, what's the dream factory?
Right. Yeah.
And he really points to this thing called the imagination network, or sometimes it's called the default mode network.
Okay.
And it's this network that basically, when we're not actively focused on something in the outside world, it kind of takes over, right? It's our brain's kind of inner storyteller, I think, would be a good way to put it. It's weaving together memories, emotions, knowledge into, these narratives.
So it's our brain turning into, a Hollywood director.
Yeah, exactly.
When we fall asleep and, creating this, these productions.
Yeah.
Just for us.
Yeah. And the amazing thing is the focus is entirely inward. Literally, if you were to shine a bright light into a dreamer's eyes.
Oh, wow.
They wouldn't even register it. They're totally immersed in this, mental cinema that's happening.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But here's what I don't get. Dreaming takes a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It burns a lot of calories.
Right.
And it makes us vulnerable. So evolutionarily,
right.
Why haven't we just evolved to just sleep soundly and conserve energy?
Yeah, that is the million-dollar question, I think, right? Okay. Why do we dream? What's the evolutionary advantage? And he actually explores a bunch of different theories, which I think are all kind of interesting. One of them is this idea of threat rehearsal.
Threat rehearsal.
Yeah.
So we're practicing.
Yeah, our brain is basically running simulations of potentially dangerous situations so that we can practice responding to them in a safe environment. And actually he talks about a study that was done where they had students who were about to take a medical exam, a big high stakes exam.
Okay.
And the students who dreamt about the exam actually performed better.
Okay. So even those stressful exam dreams where you're
right.
I'm not ready, I don't know anything.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's actually helpful.
It could be. Yeah. It could be that our brain is kind of giving us this sneak peek at the challenge.
Right.
And letting us practice, how we might handle it emotionally, mentally.
Right.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's kind of like virtual simulation for real life.
Yeah.
Which I think is cool. And then, think about those dreams that we all have where we're unprepared for a test or we're about to give a presentation or naked or whatever,
Yeah.
It's maybe those aren't just random anxieties,
right.
but actually opportunities to kind of build resilience and prepare for these difficult situations.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. That's a good way to reframe those because I have a lot of those. Yeah. But what about dreams that help us process emotions? He talks about that too, right?
Yeah.
In the book.
Yeah. Yeah. That's another theory that he explores is that dreams are really important for emotional processing. He actually found that divorcing couples who dreamt about their ex-partners in either a neutral way or even a positive way actually recovered better from depression.
Oh, wow. So it's our dreams are helping us kind of work through that baggage.
Yeah.
Yeah. And get closure.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if the content of the dream isn't all sunshine and roses.
Right.
Yeah. It's pretty powerful.
Yeah. And it kind of points to this potential for dreams to be a tool for healing and growth. Right. They're not just random nonsense. They're actually helping us process these difficult emotions.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've covered dreams that can help us ace exams.
And dreams that can help us recover from heartbreak.
Right.
What about nightmares?
Right.
But, like,
That's the big one.
are those always a bad thing?
That's where it gets really interesting. That's where I think Dr. Jandial like really flips the script. Because he actually suggests that nightmares, especially during childhood, might be beneficial.
Beneficial.
Yeah.
Like, how can something that makes you wake up in a cold sweat be
Oh,
good for you?
right. But he noticed this thing. He noticed that nightmares often emerge like around age 5,
Good.
which is the same time that children are really starting to develop a sense of self, like a separate sense of self from their parents.
Okay.
And he started to think that maybe those classic like dreamer versus creature nightmares that a
Right.
lot of kids have are actually helping them kind of define their identity and like learn to face their fears.
So, like, there's me in the dream,
Yeah.
and then there's this creature
Yeah.
that's trying to get me. I'm
Right.
like, no.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a separate person, right?
Exactly. And like it's like a training ground, right? For
Mhm.
navigating challenges and like asserting their individuality.
Yeah.
He even there's this one crazy anecdote in the book where he actually triggers a patient's vivid childhood nightmare
Wait, how?
with a surgical probe.
Whoa.
Yeah, so he's like stimulating a certain part of the brain and like boom, this guy's like back in his childhood nightmare.
It's wild.
And it shows you like how deeply ingrained
Right.
these early fears can be.
Wow.
And he even proposes, and this is where it gets a little like sci-fi, but he proposes that maybe nightmares are actually passed down epigenetically.
Epigenetically.
Like they carry echoes of our ancestors' fears.
Okay, wait. So you're saying that, like, my fear of spiders
Right.
could be because my great-great-great-grandfather
Right, exactly.
was terrified of spiders.
It's possible.
And that got passed down through, like, the generations.
Mhm. Right. And he thinks about it this way, right? Like if our ancestors were facing all these like life or death situations, right? Like predators and all this, wouldn't those fears become ingrained
Yeah,
in their biology, right?
right.
And if those fears could be passed down, even in like a subtle way,
Yeah.
wouldn't that give their descendants a survival advantage?
It would, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. So maybe, like, those classic, like, monster under the bed nightmares,
Right.
maybe that's tapping into some, like, primal anxiety
Yeah,
about
right.
survival.
Totally. It
yeah.
adds this whole other layer, right, to the idea that our dreams are connected to this like long evolutionary history that we have. So,
Okay. Enough about scary dreams.
yeah.
Let's move on to something a little more steamy.
Steamy dreams.
Erotic dreams.
Yeah.
Why do we have them? Like, even if we're in happy relationships,
Right.
like, is that a sign that we, like, secretly want to,
Yeah.
be with someone else?
Well, that's a good question. And I think, again, Dr. Jandial kind of takes a kind of a more nuanced approach to this than like the typical, dream interpretation would be, right? Like he suggests that infidelity in dreams, for example, isn't necessarily a reflection of like real life desires,
Okay.
but rather like an expression of curiosity and exploration within like the safe space of a dream.
Okay, so even if I'm dreaming about someone else,
Right.
it doesn't necessarily mean I'm not happy
Right.
with
Exactly.
my current partner.
Yeah. Remember, the imagination network's at play here, right? So it could be weaving a story based on like a fleeting thought you had,
Oh,
a
yeah.
celebrity you saw on TV, or like
Yeah.
even just a random face from a crowd.
So it's more about, like, the thrill of the forbidden.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it.
Okay.
Yeah. And then he also talks about this concept of like sexual fluidity in dreams where gender and orientation can like shift.
Yeah, yeah. I've definitely had some dreams where I'm like, whoa,
Right.
that was not what I was expecting.
Yeah, exactly.
But I guess, like, from an evolutionary perspective, like,
Yeah.
if the goal is to pass on your genes,
Right.
then, like, being open to different possibilities
Yeah.
might increase your chances.
It might. Yeah, it's a fascinating theory. And it kind of highlights how our dreams can like tap into these primal instincts that we might not even be consciously aware of.
Right. But why are those dreams so vivid? Like, sometimes I
Yeah.
wake up from an erotic dream and I'm like, whoa,
Right. Yeah.
that was pretty intense. Like, why is my body...
It's like your body doesn't realize it was just a dream.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Well, it all comes down to the mind-body connection, right?
Right.
Like Dr. Jandial explains that basically the same neural pathways are activated
No.
during both like real-life sexual experiences and erotic dreams.
Okay.
So even though it's all in your head,
Right.
your body is like responding as if it was real.
Okay.
Hmm.
That makes sense. What about familiar faces showing up? Like, like have specific neurons
Right.
for like certain people?
That's an interesting question too. I think I've heard like the idea of like a Halle Berry neuron or something like that.
Sorry.
Our brain, yeah, has like this specific neuron for like
Yeah.
Halle Berry. Um, it's not quite that simple, I think, but research has shown that like our brains do have specific neurons that fire in response to like familiar faces,
Okay.
even celebrities.
So if like, a certain person keeps popping up in my dreams,
Right.
it could be because my brain has like a
Yeah.
designated neuron
Yeah, that's possible.
for that person.
It's possible, yeah.
And it's fiery, like
Yeah.
firing away while I'm asleep.
Exactly.
Okay. All right, so we've tackled nightmares, erotic dreams. Now I'm curious about the link
Mhm.
between dreams and creativity.
Yeah.
Like, is there a connection there?
There is. He actually highlights this fascinating case study in the book about a patient named Anna who developed a brain cyst. But the cyst happened to be in a location that basically like mirrored the effects of the imagination network being activated.
Oh, wow.
So like basically by accident, the
Yeah.
cyst kind of unlocked her creative potential.
So like a brain cyst
Yeah.
accidentally made her more creative.
Yes. It's crazy, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to sign up for brain surgery, but
No, don't do that.
I'm curious if there's like a less invasive way to like tap into that,
But
right?
but that's what's so fascinating, right? Is that it suggests that the same processes that fuel our dreams can also fuel like these breakthroughs
Right.
in creativity.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense when you think about it, right?
Mhm.
Like dreams
Yeah.
are all about like making connections and exploring possibilities and like thinking outside the box.
Right, exactly. He actually points to the importance of like aha moments, like those sudden flashes of insight
Yeah.
that we have. And it turns out that like a lot of those aha moments
Right.
come during mind wandering,
Okay.
which is very similar to the state that we're in when we dream.
Like I'm in the shower
Yeah, exactly.
and suddenly I'm like, oh,
Yeah, exactly.
I know how to fix that problem.
And it turns out, like, he shares these amazing examples of, like, famous discoveries and inventions that were actually sparked by dreams, like the periodic table, the structure of DNA,
Wow.
the sewing machine, all these things came from dreams.
That's wild. So those like daydreams and moments of like just letting your mind wander,
Yeah,
that could actually be
Yeah.
key to like
Yeah.
unlocking creativity.
it could be.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really emphasizes the importance of, like, giving ourselves time and space to kind of disconnect from the demands of the day.
Right.
And, like, let our minds wander.
Yeah, and he actually mentions too, like naps, especially naps that include REM sleep,
Right.
can boost creative problem solving.
Exactly.
Okay, sold. I'm adding nap time to my to-do list.
I know, right?
Let's see. Oh, okay. Well, speaking of things to like be mindful of,
Yeah.
let's talk about like the link between dreams and physical health.
Yeah.
I'm curious about that. Like, I know sometimes I wake up from like a weird dream,
Right.
and I'm like,
Yeah.
it's not trying to tell me something.
It's powerful, that intuition, right? Like that there's this connection
Yeah.
between our dreams and our bodies. And Dr. Jandial explores this in depth too. And actually he tells this kind of unsettling story about a patient
Okay.
whose dream enactment behavior. So this is where people like physically act out their dreams.
Okay.
Turned out to be like an early warning sign of Parkinson's disease.
Hold on.
Yeah.
So you're saying like our dreams
'Cause
could
it's
predict future illnesses.
It's possible.
Okay.
That's a little creepy.
It is, but it's also kind of amazing, right? This connection
Yeah.
between the mind and the body,
So like my dreams might be
giving me like a sneak peek
Yeah.
at my future health. I'm definitely going to be paying attention.
right.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like this early warning system. He talks about the concept of a prodrome, which is like an early symptom that precedes a disease.
Oh, okay.
Right? So in this case, the dream enactment behavior was a prodrome for like this neurological condition.
So it's like our dreams are sending up a red flag
Right.
before like things fully manifest.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. Wow. And he also mentions research suggesting that like the content and the emotional tone of our dreams might be correlated with future health outcomes.
Right?
In heart patients too.
Yeah. This is like a relatively new area of research, but it's really fascinating. And it has the potential to like revolutionize healthcare.
Wait, imagine like doctors asking for like your dream journal
I know, right?
along with like your blood pressure and everything.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. My mind is blown.
I know, right?
So dreams can be predictors of illness.
Sources of creative inspiration,
Yeah.
ways to process emotions,
Yeah.
windows into our deepest fears and desires. It's a lot.
It's amazing, right? The more we learn about dreams,
Yeah.
the more we realize how essential they are, right? To like understanding ourselves.
Yeah.
They're like this secret code that
Yeah.
we all have.
Yeah, I'm definitely feeling inspired to start like paying more attention.
Mm-hmm.
But like how do we actually use this knowledge to like improve our lives? Like is there something we can do
Yeah.
with this information?
That's a great question. And it leads us to like the next part
Okay.
of our deep dive.
All right. I am officially intrigued. I can't wait to hear more.
Me too. Welcome back to our deep dive into This Is Why You Dream.
Okay, so before the break we were talking about dreams and physical health and like how they might be connected, and I was saying like,
Yeah.
you know, it's one thing to know all this information,
Right.
but like what do we actually do with it?
Right.
How do we like use this to improve our lives?
Well, that's the question, isn't it? Like, how do we actually like tap into this power? And one of the things that Dr. Jandial explores is the idea that dreams can actually be like a window into our relationships.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that makes sense because like,
Yeah.
relationships take up so much space in our waking lives.
Right.
It's only natural that they would
Right.
show up in our dreams too, right?
Totally. And he suggests that like by paying attention to the content of our dreams,
Yeah.
we can actually gain valuable insights into like our emotional states and how we interact with others.
Okay. But like dream interpretation
Right.
has always seemed a bit like, reading tea leaves to me.
Yeah.
Like how do we actually
Right.
decipher those messages?
Yeah, and I think you're right to be like skeptical of those
Yeah.
one-size-fits-all dream
Yeah.
dictionaries,
Right.
like
Yeah.
he debunks those complete. And actually, he points to this research that shows that couples who discuss their dreams together
Interesting.
reported increased intimacy and satisfaction in their relationship
Okay.
compared to couples who just shared like, events from their day.
Oh, so instead of just like rehashing the day's to-do list,
Right.
we should be like comparing dream notes.
Exactly. It's like creating this shared language, right? Like a deeper understanding of each
Yeah.
other's like inner world.
Yeah. That's way more interesting than talking about like who forgot to take out the trash.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe that's the secret to a happy relationship.
Right, right.
Um and he even suggests that like, dream groups,
Oh.
whether it's in like a therapeutic setting
Yeah.
or even just between partners, can
Mhm.
be really powerful for like fostering empathy and understanding.
So instead of like fighting,
Right.
we'd be like helping each other
Totally.
decode our dreams.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I like that. But this idea of dream sharing, it's not just for like
Right.
happy couples, right?
No, not at all.
Like he also talks about how dreams can give us insights into like
Yeah.
depression and addiction.
Yeah. He actually he notes this connection between like negative dream content
Okay.
and suicidal ideation,
Oh, wow.
which is pretty powerful,
Yeah.
right?
So it's like our dreams are kind of acting as like this
Yeah.
like emotional barometer
Right, exactly.
that can like alert us to things
Yeah.
that might be going on
Totally.
below the surface
yeah.
that we're not even aware of.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's pretty profound.
Yeah, it really emphasizes the importance of like not just dismissing our dreams as like random nonsense,
Right.
but actually like taking them seriously
Right.
as like potentially valuable information.
Okay. But how do we do that? Like, how do we actually interpret them? I've always been so curious about those like dream dictionaries, but I'm guessing
Those aren't the way to go.
no. He actually he debunks that idea of like
Right.
universal dream dictionaries or one size fits all interpretations.
Okay.
He really advocates for a more personalized approach,
Okay.
and he kind of lays out this two-step process.
Okay, I'm all ears. What are the 2 steps?
All right. Step 1, identify the dominant emotion in the dream. Like what feeling really stands out? Is it fear? Is it joy? Is it anxiety, sadness?
Okay, got it. So
Yeah.
feelings first. What's step 2?
Step 2 is to kind of analyze the central image or symbol in the dream
Okay.
metaphorically, like connect it to your current life events and emotional states.
So not taking the dream literally,
Right.
kind of looking for the deeper
Right.
meaning
Okay,
behind the
fits.
images and symbols.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And he gives this great example using the classic dream of like being unprepared for an exam.
Oh, yeah. I've had that one
Right.
many times.
Yeah, especially before
Mm.
like a big presentation at work or something.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Right.
Yeah.
But instead of assuming it's literally about like an actual exam,
Right.
he suggests interpreting it as a metaphor for like anxiety about a current life challenge. You know, that feeling of being unprepared or
Oh.
overwhelmed. So
Yeah.
it's not about the literal exam. It's about that underlying feeling
Right.
of being tested or scrutinized in some way.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's not about the exam. It's about like that
Yeah.
feeling of, oh my gosh, I'm not ready.
Exactly. Exactly. And so by focusing on that emotion
Yeah.
and then kind of exploring like the metaphorical meaning of the imagery,
Yeah.
we can gain these like really valuable insights into like
Yeah.
our subconscious thoughts and feelings.
So it's like our dreams are speaking to us in this like
Yeah.
symbolic language,
Totally.
and we need to learn how to
Yeah.
translate it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
You mentioned lucid dreaming earlier. This idea of like being aware that you're dreaming while you're dreaming
Yeah.
always sounded like sci-fi to me.
I know. It's crazy.
Like, is that something people can actually learn to do?
Yeah. Yeah. He actually dives into like the science behind it.
Okay.
And even like offer some techniques for like how to induce lucid dreams.
Wait. So you're saying we can like actually learn to control our dreams?
It's possible.
Okay. I'm in. What do I need to do?
Well, there's a lot of research being done
Yeah.
on lucid dreaming, and it's not like, you know, something that everyone can just like master easily.
Yeah.
But there are like definitely methods
Okay.
for increasing your chances of experiencing it. One of the most like common techniques is called reality testing.
Reality testing, like pinching myself to see if I'm awake.
It's similar, but in this case, you're training your mind to like question your reality
Okay.
throughout the day.
Okay, that sounds a little trippy.
It might feel strange at first, but the idea is to get in the habit of like regularly checking your surroundings for anything that seems like off or like dreamlike.
Okay. So like if I see a purple elephant
Right, yeah, exactly.
walking down the street, that's a sign.
Yeah, or if you notice that like you can't read a clock
Oh, okay.
or that like your hands look strange.
Well, my hand's looking strange. That's actually something I've noticed in dreams.
Yeah, it's a common dream sign. So by doing that throughout the day, you're basically like, you know,
Right.
training your brain to do the same thing when you're dreaming.
Yeah.
And that awareness can like trigger lucidity.
So I'm basically like training my brain to like recognize the tells of
Yeah.
a dream state,
Okay.
even when I'm asleep.
Exactly.
Okay, interesting. Are there any other techniques?
Yeah, another popular method is called the wake back to bed technique.
Wake back to bed. Okay, that one sounds a little less
Yeah.
mind-bending.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah, so basically you set an alarm to wake yourself up after about 5 hours of sleep.
Okay.
Stay awake for like 30 minutes to an hour,
Okay.
and then go back to sleep.
And that's it.
Well, there's a little more to it. Like during that time that you're awake,
Yeah.
you can do things to kind of like encourage lucidity.
Okay.
Like reading about lucid dreaming, writing down your dreams, or even just like practicing visualization techniques.
So you're like priming your mind
Yeah.
to be like, okay,
Yeah.
go back to sleep and I'm going to be aware.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like it.
And because you're kind of like disrupting your sleep cycle,
Yeah.
you're more likely to re-enter sleep in the REM stage, which is when lucid dreams are most common.
Okay, this is definitely going on my list of things to try.
Yeah.
But are there any downsides to lucid dreaming? It sounds like it's almost too good to be true.
Right. Well, I think it's important to remember that it's a skill
Yeah.
that takes time and practice,
Yeah.
and not everyone is able to achieve it easily.
And it's not like, you know, a magic solution
Right.
for all of life's problems.
Right.
But if you do master it,
Yeah.
it can open up some really amazing possibilities.
Okay. Like what kind of possibility?
Well, for example, like people who suffer from nightmares
Yeah.
might be able to use lucid dreaming to like confront their fears in a safe environment
Okay.
and potentially like reduce the frequency and intensity of those nightmares.
So it's like you're taking control
Yeah,
of the like horror movie
Yeah.
playing in your head.
Totally.
Yeah.
And because you can actually like interact with your dream environment. You know,
Wow.
you can use lucid dreams to like rehearse skills
Okay.
or practice like difficult
Oh,
tasks.
interesting. So like a basketball player
Yeah, exactly.
visualizing themselves, like making the winning shot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And some research even suggests that it can actually like lead to improved physical performance
Right.
in real life.
That's pretty wild. So
Sure.
it's not just about like having fun in our dreams,
Right.
but actually like
Yeah,
using them to
yeah.
improve our waking lives.
Totally.
That's cool.
And there's even more to explore. Like he he gets into some really like cutting edge research on the potential for technology
Okay.
to actually record
Okay.
and even visually recreate our dreams in the near future.
Hold on. Recreate our dreams. Like we're going to be able to like
It's not quite that
watch
simple.
our dreams on a screen, like as a movie.
It's not quite that simple.
Okay.
But scientists are like making significant progress
Yeah.
in decoding brain activity
Okay.
and translating it into like visual images.
Okay. That's exciting.
Yeah.
And also kind of creepy. Like imagine like scrolling through your dreams.
I know.
Like you do your social media feed.
Totally.
Yeah.
It raises some interesting ethical questions for sure.
Yeah, like who owns our dream data?
Right, exactly.
Right. Like could advertisers like manipulate our dreams
Yeah, he actually addressed
for like commercial gain?
all of that
Wow.
in the last like couple chapters of the book.
This is heavy stuff. Like it's crazy to think that something as personal and private as our dreams
Mm.
could one day become like a public commodity.
Right.
Yeah.
It's wild. It's like we almost need like a digital bill of rights.
Yeah, like a neural bill of rights or something.
He actually talks about that. The
Yeah.
concept of neural rights,
Yeah.
the idea that we have a right to privacy and autonomy
Yeah.
over our own thoughts
Right.
and mental experiences.
Yeah. I like that. But okay. Let's shift gears for a second. I'll talk about something a little less futuristic.
Yeah.
But I'm curious about like the use of sense and sounds to influence dream content.
Yeah. He actually explores some fascinating research on that too.
Okay.
Particularly like how smell can impact our dreams.
Yeah, I mean I've definitely tried like putting a lavender sachet
Yeah.
under my pillow to like,
Totally.
encourage relaxation and sleep.
People have been using aromatherapy for centuries.
Right.
To try to influence their sleep and dreams.
Yeah.
And he cites some studies showing that like certain scents,
Yeah.
like roses, can actually make dreams more pleasant,
Oh.
while others, like rotten eggs, can trigger negative dreams.
Okay. Not the vibe I'm going for.
No, definitely not.
But it's interesting how like
Yeah.
that sense of smell is so connected
Yeah.
to our emotions,
Yeah,
even in dreams.
totally. Even in the dream world.
So are you saying like we could potentially like
It's
engineer our dreams
Yeah.
using like a carefully curated collection of like
It's possible. And there's even research suggesting that like pairing scents with like learning activities.
Okay.
Like if you're studying a new language,
Oh.
it can actually enhance memory consolidation during sleep.
wait, so you're saying if I like diffuse rosemary
Yeah.
while I'm studying for a test,
Yeah.
I might actually remember the material better.
It's possible.
Okay. I'm sold. I'm gonna need to like stock up on some essential oils.
I know, right?
Yeah. And he also mentions how like sound
Yeah.
can be used to like
Right.
influence dream content.
Yeah. Especially like musical themes and stuff.
Okay. This is blowing my mind.
Yeah.
So we could potentially like hack our dreams
It's possible.
using a combination of like scents
Yeah.
and sounds and even visual cues.
It's like a DIY dream laboratory.
It is. It's pretty amazing. Okay. I think we need to like pause here for a second and like
I know, right?
let all this information sink in.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll be back soon with more from This Is Why You Dream. Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We've been uncovering all these like amazing secrets about dreams with This Is Why You Dream. I mean, who knew there was so much science behind those like nighttime adventures?
Right. It's like we've gone from, thinking that dreams were messages from the gods
Right.
to actually understanding like the neural networks that create them.
Yeah, yeah. And we've talked about how they can be like a window into our relationships,
Yeah.
our emotions, our physical health, even our creativity.
Mm-hmm.
But there's this one question I keep coming back to.
Yeah.
If dreams can tell us so much about ourselves, can they also predict the future? Like, I know Dr. Jandial talked about dreams being a prodrome for illness,
Right.
but could they also, like, foreshadow positive things?
Ah.
You know, like opportunities or good things coming our way.
It's a question that's fascinated people for, like, forever, right?
Yeah.
And while there's not, like, a clear scientific answer, I think Dr. Jandial does offer some food for thought.
Okay, yeah, I'm really curious to hear this.
Well, he points out that dreams often reflect our current emotional state, right? Like our anxieties, our hopes, our fears.
Okay.
So in a way, you could see them as like a projection of our subconscious.
Right.
And those thoughts and feelings, sometimes they do line up with future events.
Okay, so like if I'm dreaming about landing my dream job,
Right.
it could be because I'm feeling really confident
Yeah.
and optimistic, and those feelings
Yeah.
might actually lead me to take actions that
Yeah, exactly.
make that dream a reality.
Totally. It's not necessarily that the dream is like, predicting the future,
Right.
but more that it's reflecting your mindset,
Yeah.
your motivations,
Right.
which then influences your actions, which then, shapes your future.
So it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy,
Yeah.
but driven by our subconscious
Right, exactly.
instead of like, a crystal ball or something.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a really cool way to think about it.
And he also highlights the role of dreams in problem solving and creative insight.
Oh, right. Yeah, like those aha moments.
Exactly, like those flashes of inspiration.
Right.
And it turns out like a lot of those happen during sleep or in these like dreamlike states.
Right.
So in a way, our dreams are kind of like helping us
Uplifting.
find solutions, generate new ideas
Okay.
that can then lead to like positive changes.
So the dream might not be predicting a specific event,
Right.
but it could be like planting the seed.
Yeah, exactly.
Something good to happen.
Totally.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I like that. And there's even research you said suggesting that like actually paying attention to our dreams
Yeah.
and like engaging with them
Yeah.
can enhance our intuition and like our ability to make good decisions.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's really like
Wow, so they're not just random noise. They're like this valuable resource
a resource.
that we can actually use.
Totally. Yeah.
That's what Dr. Jandial suggests. He wants us to see them as like a source of guidance, a way to connect with our deeper selves and navigate the world, really.
I'm starting to see dreams in a whole new light now.
Yeah.
It's like they're a superpower that we all have, but we just ignore it.
Yeah, we often don't pay attention. And
Yeah.
the more we learn about them, the more we realize like how much potential they have.
I'm definitely inspired to start paying more attention.
Yeah.
I'm getting my dream journal out.
I love it.
Right now. I'm ready to go. Well, this has been an incredible
Yeah.
deep dive. I feel like we've learned so much
Yes.
about the world of dreams. And to everyone listening out there, keep exploring those dreamscapes. You never know what amazing discoveries you might make. Until next time, sweet dreams.